The other day it struck me that I'm always rabbiting on about the Normans or the Saxons or the Norse, and medieval this and Tudor that and Neolithic the other, and that anybody not familiar with the chronology of British history wouldn't have a clue what I was on about. So it's time to put everybody straight. I probably should have done this 45 episodes ago, but better late than never. Let's start at the beginning, always a sensible place to start, with Chapter 1, Prehistoric Times. Prehistoric times is complicated. You've got the Mesolithic, or Mesolithic if you want to sound educated, which happened circa 15,000 years BC, when everybody hunted elk, such as the one dug up in Poulton. Then you've got the Neolithic, or New Stone Age, circa 10,000 BC to 6,500 BC, where everybody got fed up with nomadicness and started farming snails instead. Then the Bronze Age, circa 3000 BC, when they invented metal axes such as those unearthed at Winmarleigh, and used them to construct stuff such as Bleasdale Circle and Nateby, which we haven't filmed yet, despite them being right on our doorstep. Then the Iron Age, circa 800 BC to 100 AD, when Lancastrians got very fractious and built a lot of hill forts, because they were always scrapping at places such as Warden Crag and Bourne Hill in Thornton. That was a long sentence, sorry, but there was a lot to fit in. Chapter 2, Introducing the Romans. In AD 78, a bit later than the rest of Britain, but Lancastrians are stubborn like that, the Romans invaded Lancashire, although Lancashire's queen at the time was Cartimandua, who favoured the Italian lifestyle. So it wasn't so much an invasion as an investment opportunity. The Romans established forts at Ribchester in Kirkham and underneath Lancaster Castle, and built long straight roads, although not so straight around these parts because it's difficult to achieve straightness with awkward mountains. They spanked the Druids out of existence and life in Lancashire was never the same again. Chapter 3, The Saxons. Probably. This is where Lancastrian history gets a bit murky. The established view amongst historians is that the Saxons appeared circa 450 AD. And built all sorts of Saxon stuff such as Heysham Church. They created villages with strip fields such as, well, almost every village in Lancashire. King Arthur was a Saxon. He was Lancastrian too, as far as we're concerned. However, our own investigations suggest that the Norse were here at the same time and that history is not quite as straightforward as the Victorians would have had us believe, which brings us to Chapter 4, The Norse. Like we said, the Norse, not the Vikings who turned up later looking for revenge, had a dubious tolerance in Lancashire for the Saxons, culminating in the Battle of Brommenberg, which might have happened at Burn in Thornton or any one of a number of other locations. The Saxons won. Thus the Vikings were created, whose rampaging and pillaging and raping went on for centuries, until the final battle at Stamford Bridge in 1066 against King Harold, who, because of the long march back to Hastings afterwards, lost out against Chapter 5, The Normans. Lancastrians weren't exactly enamoured of William the Conqueror, or Bill the Bastard as he was also known. William himself wasn't exactly enamoured of Lancastrians when they complained, so he harried the north and built Mott and Baileys all over the shop, mainly round Lancaster it must be said. Chapter 6, The Medieval Period. For a number of centuries afterwards, the kings of England all spoke French. Abbeys such as Sawley, Furness, Worley and Cockersands all sprang up, growing fatter and more pompous by the decade. In 1455, an argument arose between the two branches of the Plantagenet family from Yorkshire and Lancashire as to who had the rightful claim to the throne. The argument was still in French, and so the Wars of the Roses happened. For further details, see William Shakespeare. For the record, Lancashire won, and the Yorkists have never forgiven us since. Chapter 7, The Tudors. which was also the name of a BBC drama. In the 15th and 16th centuries, between 1405 and 1603 to be precise, places such as Salisbury Hall, Rufford Old Hall, Hackensall Hall, and numerous other halls went up. In the meantime, the abbeys came down because Henry VIII wanted the money. Under good Queen Bess, Tudor England prospered on the international stage and Lancashire's crumbly cheese trade was established. Unfortunately, Liz I died with no heir apparent, completely bald, which led to Chapter 8, the Stuarts. During the early 17th century, the Stuarts proved themselves to be a bit of a self-righteous handful. They enjoyed hanging witches at Lancaster, as well as anybody else they didn't like the look of, which led to another civil war, in which Oliver Cromwell blew up Clitheroe Castle and Greenhall Castle. He didn't like castles. People are idiots though, and after several years of puritanical rule and Christmas being banned, rather than elect a more liberal-minded government, they brought the old dictatorial despots back, and we still got 'em. Chapter 9. The Georgians. Between 1714 and 1837, there was a lot of architecture in Lancashire. This was accompanied by men in elaborate wigs and tight trousers, and romantic novels about greedy middle-class tarts. Fashionable seaside resorts such as Blackpool and Morecambe emerged from the brine, paving the way for Chapter 10, the Victorian era. Between 1838 and 1901, Lancashire became the hub of the Industrial Revolution, an image it hasn't managed to shift to this day, despite the fact that now there are only a couple of long-abandoned dark satanic mills left in the county. It was a time when industrialists grew fat on the slavery of the impoverished, much like today, constructing elaborate monuments to their own grandiosity, such as the Ashton Memorial. Chapter 11, Modern Day, which is where we come in with our digital cameras and YouTube and Lancashire Footnotes and stuff. So hopefully that's cleared everything up. In the next episode, we'll be taking a look at some interesting toenail collections throughout the centuries, and discussing the etymology of Jimmy Clitheroe. Or possibly not. In the meantime, subscribe or whatever, and ciao for now.